this weekend podcast that we're not doing this week.
Jesus doesn't think you're a freak, or if he does, he thinks you're a freak in a good way.
Trust me, you two, I know what normal talk is. Hi, I'm Paul Asay from Plugged In, and I'm talking with Adam Anders, director of the new movie Journey to Bethlehem. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
It's so exciting to talk with you. We were just talking a little bit. I have seen Journey to Bethlehem, really a unique take on the nativity story. I know that you've been involved with the entertainment industry for a while now, about 17 years. Is that right?
Yeah, longer than that, unfortunately.
30
years now.
But you've mainly done songwriting, music producing, that type of thing. Why did you decide to make this move into directing, and why did you want this story to be the first one that you dove into?
Wow, yeah, it's a lot to unpack, actually. I don't know how much time we have. Yeah,
that might be the only question I get to ask. Who knows?
That's it. Yeah, and then we'll be done. Nice to meet you. I got to go. Man, it's been a long journey, no pun intended. I started as a bass player for Stephen Curtis Chapman. And we were just talking, I used to play in Colorado Springs all the time where you guys are headquartered, and always loved coming there. And that's how I started. And, I went from that to then I did the Speechless album with him, and I programmed and I produced, and then I wrote songs, and I kept kind of feeling like chasing something in me creatively that wasn't being fulfilled. And I'm not a malcontent at all. And I've had an incredible career. I always say if my career ended tomorrow, I'd be like, pinch me, like, wow, what happened? It's been amazing. But I always felt like something was missing creatively. And I think God does that to you. He's preparing you for something, and there's this little thing inside you just pushes you forward. But I didn't know what it was. I started as a bass player, and here I am, making feature films. And what happened was I just went on this journey of wanting to tell stories, and just writing songs wasn't enough for me. So then we moved to LA to get into film and TV music, because I thought that's a great way into film and TV, because I do music and people know me for that. And then that got really successful between Glee and High School Musical and Rock of Ages and all this stuff that happened. And all that happened after I had this idea.
Really?
17 years ago, I was visiting my wife in Iowa, her family, and I was looking for something to watch with the family. There's nothing that actually said, what is Christmas about? And surely nothing that does it in a musical format.
Mm-hmm.
Being that I'm a musical guy, that's what I was looking for, and I couldn't find it. So I sat down that Christmas and spent the entire holiday and made my wife really mad. And wrote the initial 12-page treatment for this movie.
Wow.
And that was 17 years ago.
17 years ago. So yeah. This really, truly has been quite the journey for you.
It has. And God just tattooed this idea in my heart, and I couldn't let it go. And, it's funny as creatives, and you probably know you're creative as well, is you get ideas all the time. Some are good, some are bad. You kind of see which ones work and which ones don't, and you forget the ones that don't, and you just move on to the next thing. Yeah. I could not move on from this idea. I knew I was supposed to make this movie at some point, and God spent the last 17 years, I say I was in his film school.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic. So what was it about the nativity story specifically that drew you to it? Why did that story stick in your heart so long?
Well, many reasons. For one, my wife my wife Nikki, who you may know, she was in Avalon. She was the founder of Avalon.
Oh yeah.
And, we just love Christmas. We love Christmas songs. We love the holidays. It's our favorite time of year. I grew up in it. I grew up in the ministry with my parents, and Christmas is just a big deal. That's the thing, and again, coupled with not knowing that there was nothing out there that really told the story. So that's where it started. But it's also one of the few stories in the Bible that you can make a celebration out of.
Right.
That you can make a colorful, family, fun movie out of. That's hard to do with the Passion, with Easter. It's hard to do with a lot of these stories. It doesn't make any sense. This is one where I felt like I can actually take this and I can frame it in a way that's digestible for the entire family, for young kids and for the grandparents all the way across, and make a real co-viewing experience for the whole family that everyone will love, believer or non-believer. That's the other thing, is everyone celebrates Christmas. They don't know why. Santa Claus hijacked it.
Yep.
So if we can create a version of this story that can go to every household every Christmas, that's a huge win. And that's what I've tried to do.
Yeah. One of the things that I loved about Journey to Bethlehem was really the focus that you had right? Because in your hands, this really became, a multi-layered love story, right? You of course have you have God's love for his creation, which is the reason for Christmas in the first place, right? And that's very much a part of the movie. But the love story between Mary and Joseph, it felt really sweet, really old-fashioned in a way. And I think that's an element that you just don't see in a lot of nativity stories.
No, 100%. When the initial idea I had was, it's all right there for a family movie. You have the love story at the heart of it. You have
Yeah.
kind of the original Romeo and Juliet,
Yeah.
It was a love that shouldn't have happened. Joseph should have left her and said, "I'm done with you." She should have been stoned. But he stood by her. He took the child as his own. He took her stain upon him. That's an amazing love story that nobody talks about,
Yeah.
and the reason is Matthew 1 and 2, Luke 1 and 2 is all we have, and it doesn't talk about their relationship. It doesn't talk much about them at all, frankly. So I was able to play in those in-betweens, as I call it, in between the
Yeah.
scripture verses. And I started with their love story, and I thought, well, every great movie needs a love story, and it needs comedy, and it needs a villain. We got all of it, right? So the
It's
wise men
really true.
immediately became my comedic relief from the beginning. I
The
knew,
wise guys,
yeah,
as
the
one
wise
song
guys.
says.
I call them the three wise guys. They're just funny. And I know they weren't there when Jesus was born. The timeline, is not exactly accurate, but number one, I thought that doesn't affect the gospel story. Number
Right.
one. Number two, every church I've ever been in and grown up in, and in my house, we had a nativity scene set up, and they're there. And every painting I see from all the great artists in history have the wise men there when the baby's born. So if they can take that creative license, I felt like this is okay. I can do that, and then I get to have them the whole movie and make this
Yeah.
whole movie. Right? If they come 3 years after he's born, the movie's already over. I'm like, well, that doesn't work. And then Herod, the villain, it's all there, and for a story and a great adventure, and it's the greatest story ever told. And
Yeah.
and to have the opportunity to do it in this way and in a new, artistic manner was super exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about those in-between places, because our audience is pretty wide. You're going to have people who really embrace this movie. You're going to have people who worry a little bit when you go off script, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
When you deviate from what the Bible says. Obviously, you're right when you talk about the famous paintings from history. You have a lot of license that has been taken with this story in the past. But did you feel comfortable sort of expanding this story a little bit to become what you really wanted to tell?
No, not at all. Oh man, this story means so much to me, that I've spent many sleepless nights praying, God, reveal to me what I can and can't do with the story, right? What's important? What are the tent pole? What's the canon? What can I not touch or change? And I was really stressing about it. And a very, very successful Oscar-winning director friend of mine, I was lamenting this struggle I had, because I needed to, like we've said, make this movie in a way where it appeals to this wide audience. Because if 5 people watch it, it doesn't help me, right? I need to make this movie for the, and I've always said I didn't make it for Christians. I made it for everyone else that needs to hear it. And he said to me something that stuck with me. He said, "No one will remember this movie if your timeline is accurate. They will only remember it if it's great. Make a great
Wow.
movie." And that blew me away. And I was like, you're absolutely right. I have to make a great piece of art, first of all. And of course, at the heart of it has to be the message, the gospel message. And so that gave me a little bit of license. And then it dawned on me one day, I'm not making a documentary. What am I freaking out about? They didn't break into dance and song to pop music either, right? So that gives me a little bit of license and coverage to change a few things. But, frankly, when you go through it, I just actually had another conversation. We were joking that we should call the conversation "No scriptures were harmed in the making of this movie." No animals were either, but they really weren't. I was so careful. The licenses I took, like the wise men, and how we play with the gifts that the wise men brought, and things that I felt as a Christian, this doesn't affect the gospel story. These are not holy, things that shouldn't be messed with. The things that I felt were non-negotiable stayed non-negotiable from day one.
Yeah, yeah. It really does stay true to what we read in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
even while you're breaking out into song and dance in the marketplace, you know. And I think that was. Tell me a little bit about the casting for this movie, because it felt like you had a really strong cast. We can start with Antonio Banderas, of course, who plays Herod, but it seemed like everybody really fit their roles well. What did it look like casting this movie?
Well, I 100% believe 80% of directing is casting. You know, I've been doing this long enough, and one of the main things I learned along the way was when we got the cast wrong, it failed. You can't overcome that. You can't edit it away. You can't CGI it away. Either you get the cast right or you don't. And the movies that work get that right. So I was very, very careful in the casting process. And frankly, I was driving everyone crazy. And we were very late in the game, and we hadn't cast anyone. We were a couple weeks from starting rehearsals, and I didn't have anyone. And I was in prep in Madrid. We shot the movie in Spain, which is a whole other story how we ended up there, you know, because I scouted the Holy Land and I wanted to shoot it in the Holy Land where it happened.
Wow.
That didn't work out for geopolitical reasons, but Spain is across the Mediterranean, so it looks the same. But so I'm over there in Madrid and I'm prepping, and I have nobody. And it's 3 a.m. and I can't sleep because I'm stressing out. And an email comes in from LA Casting. And I go through it, and there's more. I saw hundreds of Marys, and I knew I had to get Mary first, and then all the other chips would fall. And then this one audition was like the 5th one that night, and it was this Fiona Palomo I'd never heard of. And I watched her audition, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And I watched it over and over, sitting there in the dark, you know, at 3 a.m. So I get up, I open my laptop, and I write an email to Sony, and I say, I found Mary. Please let me cast her. And again, this is how God works. They would not have let me cast her had it been early in the process. But because we had a couple weeks before rehearsals, they said, fine.
No
right?
way.
Because I think there was like, they let me cast her without a callback, which is
oh my goodness.
That's never happened in the history of feature films. And they were like, okay. And to their credit, they trusted me, and they knew how particular I was being. So I knew 100% she was right. Because I had to find a Mary. You know, the reality of the story is Mary is upset the whole time. You know, this is a tough thing she's been, you know, handed. But how do you do that and be lovable and be likable? And how do you get people to root for you even when you're not happy and smiling the entire time, right?
Yeah.
She had to be very humble and soft, and then very strong at the same time. Because I feel like God would have chosen the strongest woman he could find for this task, not a doormat, not a weak woman. So that's a very tricky thing, to be a strong woman yet be humble and soft at the same time, and she just embodied it for me. So that's a long story to say I found Mary, and then it all started coming together. I immediately did like the next day we had 6 Josephs lined up to chemistry read with her on Zoom, and the first one up was Milo Manheim, and I had no idea who Milo Manheim was, because I guess I'm too old to watch zombies on Disney. I didn't know he was the biggest thing in Disney. But that's what's cool about it, is I cast him completely on merit. Like, he was so amazingly good, and their chemistry was so good. Then I found out later he's a huge deal. I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Why would a huge deal show up for my little movie, you know, to audition even? Usually people of that stature don't even audition. But he loved the movie. He wanted to be there. He wanted the role, which is really cool.
Wow. Did he want to be there just because of did he want to be there because he felt that it was a project that reflected his faith? Was it the story that moved him to go into that space? Why did he want to be a part of it?
You know, he's Jewish. And he actually was like, can I do this because I'm Jewish? And I said, you absolutely can do it because you're Jewish, because Joseph was Jewish. It's perfect. And he was very, and I said, you absolutely can. I said, you know, and I put him at ease with that. That was his only trepidation, because what drew him to the movie was the script. Wow. And then he heard the song he was going to sing, and he loved the story and the script. And then the song, he just felt like, this is something I have to be a part of. And it's just really cool, you know, a Jewish kid to want to be a part of a Christian faith-based movie. Is pretty special, I think, especially in the light of what's happening in the world right now, you know.
Absolutely.
So very, very cool. And we just, man, he's such a special kid, and amazing talent, but just really, really great guy. So all the parents out there whose kids watch zombies, it's cool. He's an amazing, great role model. But then it was Antonio. You know, I needed my villain, and I had Antonio Banderas as tops of my list for 3 years. Kind of a pipe dream. There's no way I'm going to get this guy, huge movie star. And I knew his manager a little bit, and we were, I was texting him, sent him the script. The manager liked the script and the song, played the song for Antonio. He's like, "That's great, I love it, but I can't sing it," uh, and he dismissed it. And then Antonio went off to direct and star in a stage play. Um, and so his manager's like, "He can't be bothered now. Like, he's directing and he can't." I'm like, "But he has to see it." So I kept pestering, and then he said, "No, he's directing this play." I'm like, "Well, where is he directing the play?" And he says, "In Madrid, Spain." And
Oh
I'm
my
in Madrid,
goodness.
Spain. There's another God
Wow.
thing. I'm like, "You need to get me a meeting with this man." I am in the same town with him. And again, he didn't want to be bothered. Got him to read the script. But he was like, "I don't have time to deal with this," and I understand it. Directing, it's a 110% commitment. So I appreciate how committed he was to what he was doing. But so what we did is we started going to a show. We bought tickets. We just went
Wow.
night after night, and just hoping he would come out and talk to us. My producing partner and I, and we made friends with one of Antonio's friends who was there one night. And then he started texting me, "You have to meet these guys. You need to do this movie." And it just started coming together. And then they said, "Okay, come back tomorrow night." And we went one more time, sat through another 6-hour Spanish show with one word in English, California. Every night I
Oh,
heard
wow.
California. Um, and he came out and spoke to me. He's a lovely guy. And he said, "Look, I love the script. I love the song, but I can't sing the song." And I said, "Yes, you can." He's like, "What do you mean, yes, I can?" I said, "I've been here listening to you sing this same note in your show, and I play him the note on my little iPhone keyboard. You've been hitting this note every night live. You only have to do it once in the studio for the movie." And he goes, "Really? It's the same note?" I'm like, "You can do it, man."
Wow.
And he goes, "You know what? I like you." And before I met him, asked his manager, "What do I need him to say so I know I got him?" And he said, "If he says talk to my manager, then he's in." So he's like, "I like you. Talk to my manager." I'm like, "Yes,
Wow.
he said
That's
it. I got him."
amazing.
Yeah. So
What a cool
casting,
story.
it was cool. Yeah,
Man, oh man. And
he's
he looks
amazing.
like he's having such a fun time in this movie. I
He
mean,
is.
it's just such a fun part to play. Um, I wanted to ask you, you have mentioned in some other media that it can be difficult to be a Christian in Hollywood.
Mm.
You can be a difficult world to walk. But my understanding is that you grew up with gospel singing parents in Sweden, which is one of the most secular countries in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did your upbringing help sort of prepare you to sort of be able to be a Christian and navigate sort of that secular environment?
Yeah, that's a great question. That has been the big struggle. I've been out in LA for 18 years now. And you're kind of an island.
Mm-hmm.
You're a man on an island, and it gets very lonely. The one thing I've always done is I've never hidden my faith in Hollywood. I've been very upfront about who I am. I've never, been pointing fingers at people. I've never done that. I've lived my life. I've done very good work, I think. I try to work at a very high level and do excellent work, and then let them know I'm a Christian. That was kind of my model. And that's it. And whether they wanted to or not, they would hire me. "Oh, he's a Christian guy. Okay, but he's good. All right, fine. Let's hire him." They begrudgingly hire me. But what happened is over these last 18 years, I've built a rapport in this town, I feel like, and I have so many friends, colleagues, people that have become close friends and who aren't Christians, but that I work with. And I think it's been a great mission field, frankly. And many times I've wanted to leave LA because it's hard, and you can go somewhere else that it's much easier to live out your worldview.
Mhm.
But the reality is we need more people here, not less, to affect pop culture, because pop culture, everything starts here in LA, and then it
Yeah.
spreads the entire world. And if all Christians leave and remove themselves from that, what are we left with? And then we're just turning it over. So a big part of this movie and what I'm doing is to kind of counter program what Hollywood's making, and add some light to the world. My company's called Nightlight, and it's light needs darkness to shine, and there's plenty of that to go around now, isn't there?
Boy, boy, that is true. That is true. That's beautiful. This will be my last question. I know we're running out of time, but If you have a chance to do another Bible-based movie, if you can dive into this world, what would be, and we'll just push aside the audience, whether it would sell, whether, what would be the story that you would most want to bring to screen in the Bible?
I want to do a trilogy on David.
Wow. Very
Because
cool.
David is a musician. David wrote the Psalms. He was a musician in Saul's court to begin, his life and career as a young man, and I think it screams musical. And to take the Psalms and create new songs around the Psalms,
Mhm.
and to tell his story, young David, King David, and old David, in a 3-part series. I've announced it right here. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's awesome.
So it's an exclusive for you, but that's something a huge passion project for me that I'd love to do. It's ambitious,
Yeah.
of course, but
I'd
hey,
buy tickets.
we need ambition. We need this movie's ambitious, but we were able to do something, I think, that I'm proud of. Hopefully people love. It seems like everyone's loving it. They're embracing it.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a tough time with the strike. The cast can't promote the movie. But I think maybe God just wants to show off and make it successful without anyone's help.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I said that was going to be my last question, but I did want to just riff off of that for a little bit, because it does seem like we need Christian movie makers, Christian entertainment people to take more chances, right? I mean, I think sometimes we play it a little bit too safe, and
We do.
it's those chances that really make a story sing.
I think that's true though in every creative field, mainstream or Christian. The things that are usually the most successful are the things nobody's seen before, something that hasn't been done before, and it takes an artist behind it that's willing to fail horribly.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say, God gave me that gene, the failure gene. I am willing to completely blow it, and I'm okay with that. I think that's probably a great strength of mine. I think we could use more of that in this world. We don't want to fail. We don't want our kids to fail, but failure is a great teacher. Nobody ever learned anything from success or from, having it easy. So I believe in taking chances. I believe in pushing ourselves, trying to lead, not follow. But yeah, it doesn't always work out, but I'm okay with that, and I think I'm proud of what we've accomplished with this movie. I think it's something special, but maybe all it was I was supposed to make it, and the mission field, even being on set and everything that has happened in the last couple of years, maybe that's the whole story. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If that's all it was, because I kind of brought to fruition this thing that God put on my heart. Now it's kind of up to him to do the rest, and we have to be okay with what those results are.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be results driven. We should be, passion driven and mission driven, really.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Adam, thank you so much for your time. Journey to Bethlehem out in theaters November 10th.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, and best of luck.
Thank you so much for having me.